big difference, prizes that'll make you sing Merry Christmas. Opening 10 beautiful new Bradlees around Washington.
Bradlees Day! Start with Bradlees big AT&T telephone.
Once a rising star in the world of discount retail, Bradlees grew from a small Connecticut store into a regional powerhouse. With over 100 locations and a loyal customer base, it seemed unstoppable. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Missed trends, mounting debt, and fierce competition. Within just a few years, Bradlees went from expansion to total collapse. What caused the downfall? Was it bad luck, bad timing, or something deeper? Join us as we look at what really happened to Bradlees. Bradlees History. Do you remember walking into Bradlees? The red signs and the soft music playing inside? For many families in the Northeast, Bradlees wasn't just a store, it was a weekly routine. Parents took their kids there for clothes, school supplies, or just to browse. The aisles were full of life and everything felt familiar. Bradlees was a discount department store. It wasn't fancy, but it had everything. Clothes, toys, electronics, kitchen items, you name it. It was affordable too, and that's what made it special. For working families and middle-class homes, Bradlees was the go-to place. You could buy a week's worth of things without breaking your budget. People loved the way Bradlees made shopping simple. You didn't need a big wallet to shop there. You just needed a list and a cart. And no matter what you needed, chances were Bradlees had it. This made the store a favorite for many households. It helped people save money, but it also gave them good quality.
Just wait till you hear what shoppers are saying about Bradlees.
I like the prices and the sales.
The store was especially popular in the northeastern United States. Places like Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York were full of Bradlees locations. It became a regional icon. Families built memories there. Kids got their holiday gifts. Teens bought their first clothes for school. Even grandparents stopped by for a quiet day out. But Bradlees wasn't just a store. It was part of the community. People knew the staff. Neighbors would run into each other in the aisles. It had a small-town feeling, even if it was a big retail chain. In today's world of online shopping, we've lost that kind of connection. Bradlees gave people a reason to leave the house and shop in person. So, here's the big question. If Bradlees was so loved and so useful, what went wrong? Why did it disappear? How did a store that served so many people vanish from the map? That's where the real story begins. To understand its fall, we first need to look at its start. The beginning holds all the clues. Where did Bradlees come from? Who started it? What was the idea behind it all? But where did it all begin? Next up, we will take a quick trip back to 1958, where this whole story really begins. Bradlees didn't start with a big team or big money. It began in 1958 in New London, Connecticut, a small city near the coast. A group of local entrepreneurs came up with the idea. They wanted to build something simple, a store for the everyday American family. Not too fancy, not too expensive, just a place where people could shop, save money, and feel good doing it. The name Bradlees actually came from the Bradley International Airport, which was nearby. It had a modern feel to it. It was catchy and easy to remember. The name gave off the idea of progress and movement, just like what the founders wanted for their store. From the beginning, the concept was clear. Bradlees would offer a shopping experience that was affordable, clean, and easy. Customers didn't need to go to 5 stores for what they needed. They could just go to Bradlees. Whether it was clothes, towels, pots and pans, or even toys, Bradlees had it all under one roof. People quickly started talking about this new store. Why? Because Bradlees made shopping feel good. The stores were well lit and well organized. The staff was friendly. Prices were low, but the quality still felt solid. It didn't feel like a bargain bin. It felt like a smart choice. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, Bradlees had built a strong local following. It stood out for offering curated deals, not just cheap stuff, but carefully picked products at lower prices. Families came in once and kept coming back. It became a regular stop for many households. In 1961, just 3 years after it opened, Bradlees caught the attention of a much bigger name, Stop and Shop, a successful grocery store chain.
I just went to Stop & Shop's biggest sale of the year and brought home these great buys. Golden grain, macaroni, and cheddar dinner.
Stop and Shop saw the value in Bradlees and bought the company. This deal was big. It marked the start of a new era. With Stop and Shop behind it, Bradlees had more money, more space, and more plans. The goal was to grow faster and reach more people. The two brands even shared some store locations. You could buy groceries on one side and grab clothes or home goods on the other. So, in just a few short years, Bradlees went from a local idea to a growing retail name, all because of a simple promise: good products, fair prices, and a better shopping trip. But this was just the beginning. The real growth was still to come. The 1960s were a turning point for Bradlees. After becoming part of Stop and Shop, the store began growing faster than ever before. It had the money, the resources, and the support to expand into new areas. What started as a small local store was now becoming a major name in discount retail. The team behind Bradlees understood what families needed, and they delivered. New Bradlees stores started opening in suburban towns across the Northeast. If you lived in places like Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, or New Jersey, chances are a Bradlees store wasn't too far away. The brand became easy to recognize. That big red sign out front meant good prices and a smooth shopping trip. For many families, a trip to Bradlees became part of their weekly routine. One big reason for this success was location. Many Bradlees stores were placed right next to Stop and Shop grocery stores. This setup made life easier for shoppers. You could get your food and household supplies in one stop. Parents appreciated that kind of convenience. They could check off their to-do list without driving across town. Bradlees stores were also designed to feel easy and comfortable. When you walked in, you found wide aisles, neat shelves, and clear signs. Everything was laid out in a way that made sense. The goal was to save time, not waste it. Clean floors, good lighting, and helpful workers made shopping feel less like a chore and more like a smooth task. For families with kids, this kind of setup mattered a lot. The store carried almost everything a home could need. You could buy clothing for every season, toys for birthdays, curtains for the living room, and small electronics for the kitchen.
Start with Bradlees' big AT&T telephone gift event, including the AT&T cordless 4400 telephone.
During holidays, the huishoudse doorza's been filled up with Cindy deals and decorations. Parents came in for gift shopping and kids wandered off to look at toys. People started seeing Bradlees as more than a store. It felt like part of everyday life. Marketing also played a big role in this growth. Bradlees made ads that felt friendly and down-to-earth. Their catchphrase, "You'll like it better at Bradlees," became well known across households. The message was simple, but effective. People felt like the store understood them. It wasn't trying to be fancy. It just wanted to offer real value. Special promotions like Bradlees Family Fashion Days helped bring in even more shoppers. These events gave customers extra reasons to visit the store. They were often timed around school seasons or holidays. The focus was on making shopping fun and easy, not stressful. Families looked forward to these events and many still remember them today. By the time the 1980s arrived, Bradlees had over 100 stores. It had become a household name. It stood side by side with the biggest discount chains of the time. In many ways, Bradlees was what Target and Walmart would later become. It offered low prices, variety, and a good in-store experience. People trusted it. They knew they could count on Bradlees to deliver what they needed. These were the golden years. The company was at its best. It had loyal shoppers, growing profits, and a strong place in the market. For many families, life without Bradlees was hard to imagine. But even during these strong years, changes were slowly starting in the world of retail. And some of those changes would soon bring new problems. Bradlees fought to stay alive with flashy redesigns and a second chance. But behind the scenes, the numbers told a darker story. By the early 1990s, things were starting to shift. Bradlees was still a familiar name, but the world around it was changing fast. New players were entering the game. Walmart and Target, both national giants, began moving into the Northeast. They brought newer stores, lower prices, and stronger technology.
Target's incredible. Just when you think a dollar won't buy much anymore, Target comes up with their famous dollar sale.
Bradlees, once ahead, was now trying to keep up. Inside the stores, problems were becoming harder to ignore. Customers started to notice changes. Shelves that used to be full were now often half empty. Long lines at the register became more common. Some stores looked tired. Others had outdated products still sitting in place. While shoppers were used to the Bradlees of the past, the new experience felt less smooth. The root of these issues was behind the scenes. Bradlees was still using old systems to manage its inventory. Items weren't being restocked quickly enough. The supply chain was not moving at the speed that modern retail needed. Other stores were using computers to track what sold and what needed to be restocked. Bradlees was falling behind. At the same time, prices at Bradlees were not always as competitive as before. The store had built its reputation on value, but now it was facing bigger chains with stronger buying power. Those chains could offer the same items for less. Shoppers noticed, and some slowly began to look elsewhere. Management knew change was needed, but decisions took too long. Plans to modernize stores were made, but they didn't happen fast enough. Some locations did get updates, but others were left behind. The chain was large, and upgrading everything at once wasn't easy. Still, the delay in action hurt the store's image. In 1992, a major shift took place. Stop and Shop, the grocery chain that had owned Bradlees for over 30 years, decided to sell the company. It was bought by Kohlberg Kravis Robertson Co., a large investment firm. This marked the beginning of Bradlees as an independent company. The sale was done through a leveraged buyout. That meant Bradlees took on a large amount of debt to complete the deal. This move gave the store more control, but it also made growth harder. With so much debt to pay back, it became difficult to invest in the upgrades and systems the store badly needed. As a result, Bradlees was stuck. It wanted to improve, but it lacked the money and speed to make big changes. The stores were still open, but the cracks were showing. Loyal customers stayed, but they noticed things were no longer the same. These years were a turning point. The store still had hope, but the pressure was building. What came next would decide whether Bradlees could recover or start to fall. By the mid-1990s, Bradlees was in serious trouble. The company had become independent after splitting from Stop and Shop, but freedom came with pressure. Now, on its own, Bradlees had to face a fast-changing retail world without much support. It knew changes were needed, and it tried to act. But those efforts came too late or didn't go far enough. Bradlees started to redesign some of its stores. New logos, brighter lighting, and better layouts. The company wanted to show shoppers it was modern. It also began streamlining its product selection. That meant cutting down on less popular items and focusing on what sold best. The goal was to save money and give customers a cleaner shopping experience. For a short time, it looked like things were turning around. In 1995, Bradlees was relisted on the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotation Stock Exchange. It even opened a few new locations. There was a spark of hope. Some customers returned. Others gave it another try. The company tried to bring back the energy it once had. But behind the scenes, the problems had not gone away. Bradlees was still losing money. Some stores got updates, but others looked the same as before. The improvements were not consistent. If a shopper walked into a newer store, things felt better. But older stores still felt outdated. That kind of uneven experience hurt the brand's reputation. Outside competition was only getting stronger. Big chains like Walmart, Target, and Costco were expanding fast. They had better prices, stronger supply chains, and newer buildings. Bradlees couldn't match them. It didn't have the same technology or the money to keep up. At the same time, something new was starting to grow. In 1994, a small company called Amazon was founded. It began with books, but quickly showed the power of online shopping.
This is the first office of Amazon.com Inc. And over here, this is my desk.
E-commerce was still new, but it was rising fast. Bradlees was not ready for this shift. It focused on in-store shopping, while the world was slowly moving online. In June 1995, Bradlees filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. This was a serious step. The company closed more than 50 stores. It started reorganizing, hoping to fix its problems and survive. Employees lost their jobs. Customers in many towns lost their local Bradlees. The brand that had once felt stable now seemed uncertain. Over the next few years, Bradlees tried to rebuild. It worked on the debt. It tried to hold on to loyal shoppers, and in 1999, it officially came out of bankruptcy. On paper, it had survived. But in reality, the damage had already taken a toll. The retail world had changed too much. Bradlees had lost ground, and getting it back was not easy. Many customers who once loved Bradlees had found other places to shop. They were getting better deals, newer stores, and more choices. Bradlees was no longer the first stop. It was becoming the last option. This period was a warning sign. The brand had been given a second chance, but the cracks were still there, and soon they would grow even wider. As the year 2000 began, Bradlees was still trying to hold on. The company had survived its first bankruptcy. It had reopened stores and hoped to rebuild its place in the market. But things were not looking good. The competition was stronger than ever. Bradlees was struggling to keep up. Walmart continued to grow, reaching deeper into both city and suburban areas. Its stores were bigger, cheaper, and more modern. Bradlees could not match that scale. Shoppers who once went to Bradlees were now heading elsewhere. Target and Costco also added pressure, offering variety and better prices in updated spaces.
It was time for
It's big.
the real world.
Spicy turkey jerky?
After all, that's how you'll test the new, larger Saturn L-Series wagon.
Inside Bradlees, old problems were still there. Many stores had inventory shortages. Shoppers would walk in and find shelves half empty. Some products were outdated or missing altogether. The company also lacked a clear brand message. People no longer knew what Bradlees stood for. It didn't feel fresh or exciting. It felt stuck in the past. Attempts to modernize the look and feel of the stores did happen, but they were not enough. By this time, the Bradlees name felt like a reminder of another era. Customers wanted something new. Bradlees was trying to catch up, but the gap had grown too wide. Behind the scenes, the financial situation was worse. The company had heavy debt. Rent payments and loans drained the business. There was no extra money to grow or invest. Every dollar was being used to stay open, and even that was becoming impossible. On December 26, 2000, just one day after Christmas, Bradlees made its final move. The company filed for bankruptcy. This was not like before. It was not a reorganization. It was liquidation. That meant it was the end. There would be no second recovery. The goal now was to sell everything and close the doors for good. This news hit hard. For employees who had worked there for years, it was heartbreaking. Some had started as teenagers and stayed their whole lives. Now they were out of work. Loyal customers also felt the loss. Bradlees had been part of their routine. It was a place full of memories. Watching it disappear was painful. By March 2001, every remaining Bradlees store had shut down. A total of over 100 stores were closed forever. Signs were taken down. Carts were left behind. The lights were turned off. The company that once helped shape retail in the Northeast was now gone. The retail world had changed. Online shopping had started to grow. Bigger stores had taken the lead. Bradlees could not survive that shift. What had once been a symbol of convenience and savings now became a story of what happens when a company cannot evolve fast enough. Bradlees did not just close. It faded away from the places it once called home. And for many people, it left behind a space that could never quite be filled. Coming up, Bradlees may be gone from the map, but its name still lives on. let's explore how one discount store earned a place in people's hearts forever. Bradlees may be gone, but it's far from forgotten. Today, its memory still lives on in many ways. You can find old Bradlees commercials on YouTube, watch home videos filmed in its aisles, or scroll through online groups where fans share their favorite stories. People still talk about the smell of new school clothes, the feel of toy shelves before Christmas, and those casual Saturday trips with family. It wasn't just shopping, it was part of life. For many families, Bradlees was where the everyday moments happened. Parents picked out winter coats, kids begged for toys, grandparents wandered through housewares looking for deals. It wasn't about luxury or trends. It was about getting what you needed in a place that felt familiar and warm. Bradlees Fall wasn't unique. It joined the list of other once-loved stores like Ames, Calder, and Zayre. These were names that filled malls and shopping centers across the Northeast. But just like Bradlees, they faded as the world moved on. The rise of big-box giants and online shopping changed everything.
If you're wondering,
Is this really the best price on Kodak film?
you're not at Walmart. At Walmart, a 24-exposure roll of Kodak 135 print film is just $2.68 every day.
Stores that once served neighborhoods now struggle to compete with faster, cheaper, and more high-tech options. Some old Bradlees buildings are still around today, but they carry different names. A few are now Walmarts. Others became grocery stores or electronics chains. The walls may be the same, but the feeling is different. The Bradlees sign is gone. So is the heart that came with it. Bradlees was more than just a store. It was a part of everyday life for millions of families. While it couldn't survive the changing retail world, its memory still lives on. In old ads, shared stories, and warm nostalgia, Bradlees remains a reminder of a simpler time and the stores that once felt like home. In the end, Bradlees didn't fail because people stopped caring. It failed because retail changed too fast. It's a reminder that even good, reliable stores can fall behind when the world shifts suddenly. But in people's hearts, Bradlees still holds a place. And that's a legacy that can't be liquidated.